Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're exploring a seriously gripping historical and theological narrative, the fascinating story of Prophet Harun. You know, if you're familiar with the story of Prophet Musa, or Moses, you probably know he didn't shoulder the heavy burdens of prophethood all by himself, not at all. This is a story of deep brotherhood, of leadership under unimaginable pressure, and of a massive crisis that nearly tore a newly freed people apart. Okay, let's dive into this. Listen to this profound emotional plea from Prophet Musa. He's asking for a partner. Specifically, he's requesting his brother, Harun, or Aaron, as he's known in Judeo-Christian texts. This single quote really establishes the core theme of our explainer today, this unbreakable bond between two brothers who were chosen to face down one of history's absolute most powerful empires. Part 1. The Pharaoh's Dark Vision, a Dream of Fire and Fear. So, to truly understand Harun's story, we've got to step back into the dark, oppressive era of ancient Egypt. This was a time when the Israelites were suffering under relentless subjugation as slaves to a tyrannical ruler. Now, the Pharaoh had this terrifying vision that shook him to his absolute core. He dreamt of a blazing fire erupting from Jerusalem, completely incinerating the homes of the Egyptians, yet miraculously leaving the children of Israel completely untouched. When he summoned his sages and priests, they inferred a clear, terrifying prophecy. A boy would be born among the Israelites who would bring about the utter downfall of the Egyptian empire. The Pharaoh's immediate reaction? A decree to just slaughter all the newborn Israelite boys. But his sages quickly realized there was a massive economic flaw here. If all the males were killed, the slave workforce they completely relied on would be annihilated. So they implemented this brutally calculated bureaucratic policy instead. They decided they would slaughter male infants in year 1, but spare them in year 2. And that terrifying reality is exactly what Harun and Musa were born into. Part 2. The Eloquent Partner. Two brothers, one mission. Moving forward to Musa's call to prophethood, the dynamic between these two brothers is absolutely fascinating. Musa is tasked with the monumental job of confronting the Pharaoh, but he's incredibly nervous because he has a speech impediment. He legitimately fears he won't be understood. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights the exact skill Musa lacks. Harun is a highly eloquent and persuasive speaker. Musa recognizes this right away and asks for Harun to be his helper, showing how their individual traits combine to create a perfectly balanced leadership team. And this incredible humility from Musa, literally admitting his weakness and asking for his brother's help, was met with divine approval. Allah responded by granting the request. Just like that, Harun was officially destined for prophethood, tasked to stand shoulder to shoulder with Musa, to warn the Pharaoh and guide the Israelites out of the darkness. Part 3. Confronting the Tyrant, the Exodus. With their mission set, things escalate, and I mean rapidly. Musa and Harun confront the Pharaoh, who just dismisses them as mere magicians. Well, this leads to a super high-stakes contest against the Pharaoh's renowned sorcerers, which Musa actually wins. Humiliated, the Pharaoh retaliates with brutal, severe persecution. But the suppression? It's the breaking point. Musa and Harun lead the great exodus out of Egypt, culminating in the miraculous parting of the Red Sea and the dramatic drowning of the Pharaoh's pursuing army. They were finally free. Part 4. The Golden Calf Crisis. 40 days of absence. But, you know, freedom comes with its own set of trials. The physical escape was a success, sure, but the psychological scars and ingrained habits of Egyptian idol worship, they followed them straight into the desert. During the journey, Musa leaves to ascend Mount Sinai for 40 days to receive divine commandments, and he leaves Prophet Harun in charge. But a vacuum of leadership can be incredibly dangerous. A rebellious follower named Samiri totally took advantage of the people's weak hearts. He collected their melted gold jewelry and crafted a hollow golden calf. And because of how it was uniquely designed, when the wind blew through it, it produced this eerie, enticing sound that the people mistook for something supernatural. Prophet Harun is watching all of this unfold in absolute distress, but he doesn't just stay silent. He desperately warns them, "Oh, my people, you are only being tested by it. Follow me and obey my order." He took a very clear, definitive stance against the idolatry that was poisoning his camp. But his words, they completely fell on deaf ears. The Israelites rebelled, flat out refusing to stop worshiping the idol until Musa returned. They completely ignored Harun's authority. And worst of all, the mob became so entrenched in their misguided ways that they literally threatened to kill Prophet Harun for trying to stop them. He was rendered completely helpless by this volatile crowd. And this brilliantly illustrates a major theological divergence between the historic texts. The Quranic account places the blame squarely on Samiri for crafting the idol, while portraying Harun as vehemently fighting against it. But on the flip side, the biblical account in Exodus attributes the creation of the calf directly to Aaron, or Harun, stating he gathered the people and made the idol when they grew anxious about Moses' delay. It's just a fascinating look at how different source texts record the legacy of this incredibly intense historical moment. Part 5. Musa's Wrath and Forgiveness. The Return from Sinai. So whichever account you read, the tension absolutely boils over when Musa finally descends from the mountain. He returns not to a peaceful camp, but to the devastating sight of his people joyously dancing around an idol. Consumed by absolute fury, Musa drops what he's holding and marches straight to the man he left in charge. Confronting his brother, the source texts describe Musa physically grabbing Harun by his beard and hair, fiercely demanding, "What held you back when you saw them going astray? Why did you not fight this corruption?" It's this just moment of raw, visceral emotion between two siblings under immense strain. But Harun's defense is just as emotionally charged. He pleads, "O son of my mother, do not seize me by my beard. The fold considered me weak and were about to kill me." By invoking their mother, Harun grounds the moment right back in their deep brotherhood. He explains the terrifying reality of the mob's threat. And hearing this, Musa's anger toward his brother immediately subsides. He realizes Harun wasn't complicit. He was trapped. Once his brother is exonerated, Musa turns his wrath toward the true architect of this whole crisis, Samiri. The justice handed down is swift, and it is decisive. Musa banishes Samiri, decreeing a life of no contact as a total outcast. And to ensure the temptation is permanently destroyed, Musa burns the golden calf down to ashes and scatters them across the sea. The idol is completely gone. Let's move to and see how this builds right into the next phase of their trial. To seek atonement for the tribe's grave disobedience, Musa takes 70 elders back to Mount Sinai. But even then, the people's arrogance persists. They demand to see Allah outright before they will fully believe. An earthquake suddenly seizes them for their insolence. Yet again, Musa steps in to pray for mercy. The texts reveal that Allah, in boundless mercy, revives and forgives them, giving the Israelites yet another chance. Part 6. The Final Legacy, Journey in the Wilderness. After all those dramatic highs and terrifying lows, the narrative begins to quiet down. Prophet Harun's earthly partnership with his brother came to a close in the desert. He passed away shortly before Musa, while the Israelites were still enduring their long wandering through the wilderness. He dedicated his entire life to supporting his brother and trying his hardest to guide a fractured people toward faith. Which brings us to our final thought. The story of Harun isn't just some ancient record. It's a profound case study on the heavy burdens of leadership. How does Harun's trial reflect the challenges of holding on to faith when the crowd turns entirely against you? It really forces us to ask how we handle the pressure of old, toxic habits when we're trying to build something completely new. It's a fascinating legacy that leaves us with a lot to unpack about human nature. Thanks for walking through this explainer with me,